Yeah. Oh. Oh, jeez. Oh, shit. Randy. Awesome. You missed the competition, man. Running late.
What are you talking about? I hitchhiked all the way from Creston, man.
Okay, well, what do you want to do?
Well, can I still tell my story?
Well, okay, quick. Sure. Go for it.
I was going to do a little story about getting super baked and hitting a tree. But the papier-mâché mountain that I was making, that shit's hard to work with, man. I ended up with this huge mound of like flour and newspaper. I couldn't frickin' lift the thing. So, on my way here, I'm thinking, okay, backcountry, bush party. Okay, I can work with that. So I'm at this bush party with my friends Rich and Gopher, right? And Rich, he's brought, all the shrooms, and I brought the Jakey D, right? And of course, Gopher brings this like peyote that's been in his freezer for like 15 years. So we pretty much do everything. We notice there's like nobody else there anymore, and Gopher's lit his Mac jacket on fire for like the 5th time, jumping over the bonfire, right? And Rich is like talking to the trees again, right? So I'm like, hey guys, let's head into town and break into some cars. Yeah, okay. And just so you guys know, when we break into the cars, we don't take anything. We just kind of hang out in them, right? So, who is this person? And I gotta admit, I did, when I was 16, I did steal a Pixies cassette from out of the cassette player. It changed my life. I was listening to like Cinderella at the time, right? So I'm kind of dating myself there. I'd rather date myself than anyone else, but all right, okay. Right on. So, we hop into the Tercel, right? And, kind of by default, I'm driving because I'm the only one who can sort of see. And in my defense, I had winter tires on it. Of course, they've been on there for like 8 years, right? But they were winter tires. So we're like heading down the logging road, right? And one of the bonuses of a 15-year-old peyote high is the tunnel vision, right? Because you can really focus on the road there, and then I turned my lights on, and that really helped too, right? And so I'm going around this corner, right? And all of a sudden, and we all know that feeling, right? Just kind of lifting off, right? And it's kind of separating from the road, and all I've got is like, in the booklet when you learn how to drive, that little schemata with the tires that show you how to steer into a turn. So I'm trying to steer into the skid with this little schemata, and Gopher's in the back seat, and he says real quiet, "Are we flying?" And then all of a sudden that little schemata in my head starts going end over end, right? Because we've hit off the road, and then I turn back to Gopher and I say, "Flying," and then woof, right? You just woof, not crash, not crunch, woof, right? We hit the biggest frickin' tree well I'd ever been in. Woof, the whole car frickin' disappears. And so you get Rich, he's down kind of underneath the dash there because he's having some kind of weird rebirthing hallucination. Gopher's in the back seat, he's freaking out because all we have is like 2 of those little Christmas oranges, right? And he's trying to like already parcel them out, right? We can be here for 15 days if we drink our pee. And then Rich, he starts crying. He's like, "You gotta pick me up by the ankles and smack my ass so I can breathe." And I'm like, dude, I think I've like fractured my pelvis here, man. That's like the last thing I want to do, because that Tercel steering wheel doesn't have much give to it, right? So So all of a sudden we all hear it, right? We hear bells. We hear these bells ringing. We're like, what the fuck is that? And then this voice, right? This mellifluous voice. It's like, looks like you guys are in a bit of trouble. And it's kind of European sounding. I'm not going to try and copy it because I'm shit with accents and I don't want to offend any weird Europeans that are here. So I roll down my window, I kind of punch a hole in the snow, right? And I'm looking up and there's this lady up there, right? And she's dressed in this kind of old-fashioned garb, you know, one of those jackets with the fur trim and a little scenario down here and kind of mucklucks and like, you know, a hat with the tassels. And I'm like, oh great, a freaking hippie from the valley's gonna read our auras and like send us off into the other world, right? And she's like, looks like you guys need some help out of there. I'm like, yeah, well, I got a lot of pain right here, which in retrospect isn't probably the best gesture to make. And then Rich, he's like crying. He's like, I pooped my pants. I'm like, Jesus, Rich, grow up. Like, literally, grow up, right? And then she starts talking to him. And she's like, oh, did little baby poop his pants? And he goes all quiet, and you can almost hear his brain grinding to a halt, trying to deal with this input, and he says in a real quiet voice, are we dead? And I'm like, okay, Rich is back. And then all of a sudden, poof, there she's in the car with us. She's like, looks like you guys need a drink and some help. And then poof, we had these big kind of carved horns in our hands, filled with liquid. And we took a sip of it, and that shit was like mulled wine, apple cider, coffee, latte, Baileys, and Percocet, all mixed into one, man. And it sounds real gross, but it tasted unbelievable. And this whole warmth kind of spread down my body, right? And I can hear Gopher saying to her, who are you? And she says, Sandra. Sandra Claus.